Gentlemen, there's a point, dark, silent, and terrifying, when arrogance ceases to be mere vanity and becomes a portal to something much worse. That point is where the narcissist willingly becomes a servant of evil. There comes a moment when a person tells a lie so convincingly, so often, that they begin to believe it themselves. It may start small, a slight exaggeration, a deflection of blame, a convenient bending of the truth, but over time, repeated deception ceases to be a tool and becomes a worldview. For the narcissist, this process is not accidental. It is deliberate. The lie is no longer a means to an end. It becomes the foundation of their identity. And when identity is built on falsehood, truth becomes intolerable. It hurts. It threatens. It must be destroyed. What makes this descent particularly insidious is that it often appears sophisticated, even intelligent. The narcissist constructs a carefully curated version of reality, one where they are always the hero, the victim, or the misunderstood genius. They revise memories, rewrite motives, and recast others in roles that serve their narrative. They don't just lie to people. They create a false world and invite others to live in it. And when someone challenges that world, they are labeled as dangerous, toxic, or insane. But the real danger is internal. The narcissist begins to lose the ability to distinguish between truth and fiction. What started as conscious manipulation becomes self-deception. The mask fuses to the face. And once that happens, the person is no longer just dishonest, they are possessed by the lie. They live in it, breathe it, protect it with aggression and emotional warfare. And in doing so, they forfeit something essential, their connection to reality. This disconnection from truth is not neutral. It's not simply a psychological quirk or an unfortunate habit. It is moral decay. When someone repeatedly chooses the lie, despite knowing the truth, they commit a kind of spiritual suicide. They kill the part of themselves that is capable of genuine repentance, of change, of seeing clearly. They trade that capacity for the comfort of control, and this trade comes at a price. Eventually, the truth they abandon begins to demand a reckoning. Reality pushes back, relationships fail, trust disintegrates, peace disappears, and still the narcissist doubles down. What emerges then is not just pride or arrogance, but something far more dangerous: contempt for truth itself. At this point, the lie becomes an idol, and the narcissist becomes its priest. They will destroy friendships, families, and even themselves to protect the illusion. And in that self-imposed delusion, they open the door to evil. Because evil doesn't begin with monstrous acts, it begins with the refusal to tell the truth, the unwillingness to admit fault, and the prideful belief that one can play God in their own story. This is how narcissism becomes not just a personality flaw, but a moral failure. The lie, once entertained, becomes enthroned. And once enthroned, it demands loyalty, even if that loyalty means sacrificing one's soul. Manipulation in its raw form is not just a tactic, it's a philosophy. For the narcissist, it becomes the primary lens through which they see others and interact with the world. At its core, manipulation is about control, not the kind that brings order or stability, but the kind that bends others to one's will while disguising the hand that does the bending. The narcissist does not seek connection in the way a healthy individual does. They do not approach relationships with mutual respect or shared truth. They enter them like a strategist approaches a battlefield, calculating, careful, and always looking for leverage. It starts subtly, a compliment laced with expectation, a gesture that looks generous but carries a silent contract. The narcissist learns to sense weakness, to detect insecurity, and to exploit it, not with cruelty at first, but with charm. That charm is not kindness, it is camouflage. It is the mask that makes manipulation feel like affection, the poison that tastes like sweetness. People feel drawn in, seen, even needed, but that sense of significance is carefully manufactured to ensure loyalty and dependency. It's not love, it's bait. Over time, this form of interaction becomes habitual. The narcissist learns to weaponize emotion. They know when to play the victim, when to mirror someone's desires, when to provoke guilt, and when to withdraw affection. Each move is meant to destabilize the other person, to keep them guessing, to keep them off balance. Because when someone is off balance, they're easier to control. They second guess themselves. They become more pliable, more desperate for approval. And that desperation is where the narcissist finds power. What makes this behavior truly dangerous is that it can be cloaked in the language of care. A narcissist can claim they're just being honest when they're actually undermining. They can say they're worried about you when they're really trying to shame you into compliance. They can cry, beg, flatter, withdraw, whatever gets the desired result. And the more successful these tactics are, the more they become a moral compass, not based on right or wrong, but on what works, what gets results, what maintains dominance. In this world, truth becomes irrelevant. Integrity is optional. Only outcomes matter. The narcissist does not reflect on whether they are being fair or honest. They ask only if they are winning. Relationships are not partnerships. They are games to be won, systems to be hacked, and people to be played. And once this mindset takes over, something within them hardens. The conscience begins to atrophy. Compassion becomes a performance. Empathy becomes a tool. And slowly, the line between influence and corruption vanishes. Manipulation used in this way is not just selfish. It is a form of violence. It doesn't bruise the skin, but it bruises the mind. It leaves people confused, ashamed, and broken. And when done consistently, without remorse, it transforms the manipulator into something deeply destructive. Not simply flawed, but morally compromised. Because once a person embraces manipulation as their guiding principle, they are no longer reaching for connection, they are reaching for domination. And that path leads nowhere good. There is a moment, chilling and unmistakable, when a narcissist crosses a threshold, not merely causing harm, but deriving satisfaction from it. This is not about careless words said in anger or the regrettable pain we all sometimes inflict in the chaos of conflict. This is something colder, something intentional. It is the pleasure taken in another person's suffering, the smile, even if faint, when someone else is torn down. At this stage, the narcissist isn't just selfish or defensive. They are becoming cruel. And cruelty, when chosen freely, is a conscious alignment with something dark. This delight in destruction often begins with justification. The narcissist tells themselves that the person deserved it, that they were weak, disloyal, or disrespectful. They twist the narrative until their victim becomes the villain and their own malice becomes righteous justice. It's not just about hurting someone, it's about feeling right while doing it. That sense of moral superiority gives the narcissist license to inflict pain without guilt. In fact, the pain becomes proof of power. It confirms their dominance, it validates their control. This mindset is particularly dangerous because it escalates. The narcissist starts to test the limits. How far can I push? How much can I get away with? Can I make them cry? Doubt themselves? Beg for my approval? When these actions succeed, when tears fall, when voices tremble, the narcissist feels a perverse sense of triumph. They feel elevated. They feel godlike. The emotional damage they cause becomes a kind of trophy. It's not always loud. Often it's calculated and quiet. A well-placed insult disguised as advice. A look of disgust that shatters confidence. A subtle undermining in front of others that leaves the target exposed and humiliated. These aren't accidents. They're strikes. Precision attacks meant to weaken and dominate. And what's more disturbing is that the narcissist often enjoys pretending they didn't mean it. This plausible deniability only increases their sense of control. It's not just about hurting, it's about being able to hurt and walk away untouched, unblamed. This enjoyment of destruction is where narcissism becomes malicious. It's where the ego no longer seeks praise or admiration, but begins to crave the collapse of others. Because in their broken worldview, the failure of another person is seen as a personal victory. It's a twisted economy. One person's suffering becomes another's currency of self-worth.